The Fed has slammed on the brakes for dropping interest rates again. If you're a business owner, a real estate investor, or your business remotely touches real estate at all, construction, roofing, concrete, that kind of thing, you're going to want to listen up. I'm going to be breaking down the 5 brutal ways that this decision are impacting our wallet. I'm going to give you the facts, and then I'm going to give you the opinion and what we're doing about it as a company. We're going to be talking about why most people are going to get crushed and why operators like us, you watching this show, we are going to get ready for pulling in some profits in the long run eventually. All right, so we have transcripts directly from Jerome Powell. You can also check CNBC, Jerome, The Hill, Bankride, ABC, and also join Pints and Properties if you haven't. But the gist of it is that rates are frozen between 4.25% and 4.5% for the Fed. Markets were hoping for a cut. That did not happen. And a lot of people were just holding their breath, not doing anything, waiting. And this is going to just cause more uncertainty in the long run. The cost of capital remains the same, which means very high while we are waiting to see what happens. There's going to be at least a quarter left. Fact number 2 from this is that inflation remains high. It is coming down, but it's still above that target 2% rate. That means that for us business owners, that the labor, raw materials, and logistics are going to continue to be a wild card for everybody. It's just going to be volatile and go all over the place. And compounding that, we're going to talk about it in a little bit, is going to be the tariffs as well that are also throwing towards that. But inflation, now all prices are shooting skyward. Fact number 3 is there's probably going to be 2 rate cuts this year. There's no guarantees on that. There is uncertainty. The Fed has hinted at this before. So everyone was hoping that it would hit right now at the beginning of July, but nothing has happened. So again, they've hinted at 2 more cuts this year, 2 cuts this year, hopefully. But that is if the inflation keeps going downward and also the tariffs don't just screw everything up. So who knows what's going to end up happening soon. There's going to be no guarantees around this. We're going to keep watching. Fact number 4 is the tariffs and trade policy. So this is the wild card. This is good for some industries, bad for a lot of industries, but business owners are absolutely feeling it. Anything that's depending on the global trade market, right? On the video 2 weeks ago, we just talked about how right now the tariffs are increased for aluminum and steel imports. They went from 25% to 50%. They are not coming back down. It is not going to happen. So we might be negotiating for all of our other suppliers and their raw materials or things that are beyond raw materials, but the lumber and steel and aluminum are not going to come back down. So even our biggest trading partners with Mexico and Canada, that's already immediately impacted the steel suppliers for the building builders. And remember, there's that story from last week. I went and just built that building, or we were going to go buy a building. We had 4 days to decide. We borrowed a bunch of money so we could secure 20% savings, because if we didn't do that by the following Tuesday, we didn't buy the materials all up front, then we would just instantly would have had to pay an extra $25,000. Just boom, gone like that. So especially anyone who relies on imports or the global trade, they are feeling that squeeze for sure, and that pain is going to stick around. And fact 5 is lending is tight, and it's going to stay tight. This is not new to anybody. It's been a lot more difficult in the last few years to refinance. Anyone that's on the real estate front, they have a bunch of capital locked away, so they're bleeding themselves dry right now, but they cannot refinance, and it is going to, and if they do refinance, then it might go bankrupt, and it's crazy out there. So there could be a lot of long-term implications, and we are seeing this, and we're going to get into some examples right now. Business owners, are you aware that I have a newsletter down below in the description, and it is full of all the tactics and stuff that if I put it on YouTube, I will be demonetized. It is a weekly newsletter that will go out telling and talking to you guys about the things that will help you and us, our businesses, stay ahead. If you're interested, link below. Now, back to the video. All right, guys, I have told you what is going on. Those are the 5 things were the biggest takeaways from Jerome Powell's event. But what are we going to be doing about it? And I'm going to give you my opinion of how it's going to impact people. Then I'm going to tell you what we're doing. Cutting through the noise. Interest rates are going to remain high for the foreseeable future. That means any business that is dependent on loans. So if you are a manufacturing business and you depend on loans for inventory, or if you are in real estate, then that means that you're going to have less margin on flips. You know, it's going to be a lot more difficult to refinance out. Margins for multifamily, just general operations, are going to continue to be razor thin as they have been for the last 2 years. Businesses in and around real estate, so that's contractors, roofers, concrete people, because all of the developers and builders and real estate folks doing renovations all depend on margin, then it's going to continue to be very, very thin. I've just had this is my watch here, but I've just had my painter blow me up the last 4 days in a row because they're looking for work. No one's hiring, no one's doing jobs because no one can afford to expand right now. So the rest of the world, we see delaying projects. We also see things scaling back. Developers are scaling back. And services, we're seeing demand soften if you are in a business that does that. But what are the lean operators? What are we doing? Well, we are all trained that we are all compensated for problems. The bigger the problem you can solve, the better we can do it. So here's how we're taking advantage and becoming profitable in the situation. We're using this opportunity to scale 2 ways. And one of those 2 ways is, of course, we're actually looking to buy things right now because while the market is in the dumps, while people can't sell, right? If you're in real estate and you're looking to sell, because interest rates are so high, no one's wanting to buy. That means that they are having to lower the price. So that's the first and foremost, right? This goes beyond real estate. If you are looking to expand your business, right? If you're a brewer, you can go buy brewery equipment from companies who have gone out of business. If you are a machine shop, you can go buy machines right now for an extremely cheap discount. Why? Because the pain has been so high for so long. The answer is people are having to sell to stay in business. Second thing, employees. There have been layoffs. Layoffs are now starting and have started and are escalating. The tariffs are probably going to bring even more layoffs. So yes, there's always been an employee shortage over the entire course of the last few years. But now with layoffs, you're having people who weren't laid off before now needing jobs. So this is your ability to now go and hire people that can do the work, maybe possibly scalp some people that otherwise you couldn't have been scalped before. Now, here's where we're really going to be taking advantage of services. I just told you about my painter. We are going to be taking advantage of our contractors, our framers, our roofers. We are one of the few people who are looking to expand. Now, it's tough. Why we're able to do that? Because we use profit first, and we always have a reserve on the side for expansion. So while everyone else, the demand has dried up, their prices are coming down because their options are let my guys go or not. This is an unprecedented time of fear, which is causing uncertainty for the services, which means that we get a unique opportunity to have things be cheaper on the labor front as we're hiring things out, right? Materials are still high, but in the United States and in the EU and Europe, overarchingly, things are, labor is the expensive part. So unfortunately, we're having high prices for materials, but because of the decrease in demand, if you go back to 2021, 2022, we could not hire people. We could not get our services done because they were backed up for 8 or 9 months. Now, a lot of things are empty. Example, go back 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago, we went and bought a building. And the building we purchased, we bought a metal building. We took advantage of the situation. We pulled on a line of credit. The line of credit existed from a year ago. We pulled the line of credit, accepted to pay the interest early for us to lock down $20,000, to save $20,000, $25,000, whatever it was. It was 20% of the raw material cost. Guess what? All of our competitors now, it's been 3 weeks since that happened. All of our competitors, anyone who's looking to get into the space, we're not paying attention, that we're stuck in that fear mindset. They now have to deal with the consequences. Prices are up. That's just the way it is. Tough. And moving on to section 3. Now we'll talk a little bit about how we're impacting, how we're profitizing. This is going to be moral on that. So we already told you we're taking advantage of the fact that prices are lower across the board for our contractors, that we can give them more work or that we actually have work. You can also pick up deals for cheaper. We already said that. Or equipment or hire employees. It's still tough, but a lot less tough than it has been because you know what? People could be choosy. Now, if you're unemployed, you might be able to actually hire great workers who, through no fault of their own, are unemployed right now. Systematizing your operations. So when there's blood in the streets, buy land. That's what people say. This is kind of that situation right now. While people are scared, Now's the time to expand and grow, right? In 2008, the recession, there was massive fear and panic. You know, I was in college at the time, about to enter the workforce. I saw it from a different angle, but there's a lot of fear. And there were more billionaires that came out of 2008 than anything. And it's because the people that took advantage during the time of distress. So that is right now. And we are trying to live by that. The next thing is we are using lean to really, really clean up our operations, right? We practice what we preach. We already are doing it. Well, we are tripling down, not just doubling down. We are tripling down on systematizing everything, right? We're double checking our Tubin systems. We're double checking our Kanbans. We're making sure that we have SOPs. Everything is being standardized because in one of our places, we ended up having someone scalp some of our employees. So one of our locations, we had some national entities raise their rates because they were missing employees. And so we went from 6 people on that location down to 2 people at that location. And now we got to restaff up. Well, luckily, we had a bunch of other employees at a bunch of other sites. Everything's systematized. We're using the same software, the same programs. And people were able to fill the gaps and fill in. And it has not been seamless. It's been rough, but we were able to accomplish it, which has been fantastic. Banking cash. So we said that lending is tight. That does not mean lending is impossible. Also, if you have healthy reserves, if you are like, oh my gosh, I've been saving all this money for reserves, but we really wanted to do an expansion for the last few years, or we wanted to buy that new piece of equipment or expand our, whatever, or build the new section of our building on, whatever it is, now is probably the best time to go purchase the thing because there's so much fear and uncertainty. You can probably negotiate some pretty good deals out there. If you want your parking lot resealed for an asphalt guy, what used to be $36,000 for a teeny tiny thing, maybe it's 15 because they just need enough money to keep their guys rolling. And that now is probably the time that you can take advantage. I'm not saying overextend yourself, but if you've been stacking cash for reserves, I'm not telling you to blow it, right? Because now there's uncertainty, but go and maybe explore the option of purchasing or expanding things that are going to get you ahead. Stay nimble. Adjust pricing is the next one. So people staying nimble is critical. Things are changing very quick. Also, if you can lock into long-term contracts for pricing, that's great. If you already have locked in for long-term pricing, that's also great. So you're going to thread the needle, whatever industry you're in, that's going to change month to month. So just be on the lookout. Be paying attention to what's going on. And of course, we're going to watch the Fed's next moves. That's going to be the thing that we are watching like a hawk. Because interest rates are so high, I actually have the ability to sell because we have such good debt from a long time ago. And that is a competitive advantage. So if I'm going to sell a property, if I don't have to have all the money up front, hey, I will become the bank. You know what? Based on interest rates, I can sell this $300,000 thing. I can only sell it for $200,000. Well, I can say, listen, I'll sell it to you for $300,000 and I'll carry it for 25 years on a 5-year balloon at 3% interest. Now, all of a sudden, their monthly payment's lower. You're getting yourself covered, but you're able to actually move on from that. Now, what is your strategy, right? You can sell in very creative ways. The other thing is you can buy in very creative ways. So if you're buying a company, if you're buying real estate, if you're buying equipment, all right, you can purchase things in very creative ways, or knowing that the Fed's probably going to have to lower interest rates soon. And the pain has just been so much for so long for so many companies, you can probably negotiate some good deals. So you can buy stuff now while interest rates are high. Now, this is a gamble. This is a strategic position that I am taking. I'm not recommending that you take it. I'm telling you what we're doing. We are buying now while interest rates are high because we're accepting that we're going to take losses for the next 24 months. We can sustain that because we have the rest of our base of our operations and our businesses can support that loss. Well, the moment interest rates drop, then we can refinance. And those are situations that scared people aren't taking right now. So if you are tired of all the uncertainty, make sure you watch our channel. Subscribe now if you can. We are taking advantage of the situation. When any massive global event happens, the first thing that we think as a company internally, all cylinders firing, is how is this going to hurt us and how can we make the best of the situation, right? A less nice way to put it is, how can we make money from the situation, right? How can we be profitable from this? So not just, hey, profit also means, hey, we can scale back expenses here. Hey, did you know if we had this other software, then we don't need to hire a whole nother person? We are dialing in our systems right now. We are taking advantage of the availability we have to our contractors. We are taking advantage of their pricing right now because in order for them to stay afloat, they are just desperate to keep their guys employed, and they have to constantly be finding new jobs. And not many people want to do that right now. We are looking to buy creatively during this unprecedented time. Just, I think it was 3 months ago now, we bought a $1.2 million apartment complex. Not only was it $0 out of pocket, we took $100,000 down. So we bought and we got $100,000. Now, it's not, that property is not cash flowing right now. When interest rates drop, not if, but when interest rates drop, then then we're going to be able to refinance and bring that down, right? So that's going to, suspect in the next 25 years, we're going to have interest rates drop. And the biggest thing is fix what bugs you, right? It is an all hands on deck situation for us. Every day we've been training with Lean, with the morning routine framework, how to systematize, how to reduce costs, the critical thinking skills, the problem solving skills that our process engineers, which is what we call our internal employees. Everyone is a process engineer at our company. Everyone knows the focus. If we want to stay employed, we need to reduce costs. And we can also look at expansion, right? What can we do? Ever been as clear as it is right now. So it's been a massive thing. So we are literally, even though we were doing okay, at this time of pain is where we can rocket forward. Where everybody else sees pain, you can see opportunity. It could be very painful opportunity, but it's opportunity, right? What do we have to cut out? What do we need to do better? Do we have to sell off a piece of property? Do we have to refinance? Do we have to pull a line of credit to go buy a building that we cannot build for another 3 months and just pay the interest on it? Well, yes, we would rather do that because that's going to be, I think, $1,500 total extra versus $20,000 total if we just waited, right? Plus all the interest. I think the compounding interest of that over the 25 years of borrowing that was like $47,000 or something insane. So it's 20 grand. It wasn't just our payment went up by, by like $700 a month. It was 20 grand and our payment went up and the interest over the lifetime of that loan was higher just because we weren't paying attention. We were asleep at the wheel. So that's what we are doing about this. If you like this content, make sure you check out the channel. We also have free resources below. And if you like this video, then you're going to like this one even better.